Yo, 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 what's good, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of NBA to the Galaxy Pod, presented to you by DSM Media, as well as your host, my guy Scotty. You can follow him on X, formerly known as Twitter at Scotty Clown. It is not a D over there, it is Scotty Clown. You feel me? Scotty Clown is not a typo. Make sure you give my guy a follow.
Fair enough.
He always up to have a good time and troll people. So, yeah, for all you trolls out there, go give him a follow. But as well as myself, you can follow me at R2R30111 on X. And yeah, man, before we dive into any topics, what we will be discussing, how you doing this Good Friday, my guy Scotty Clown over there.
Hey, you owe. I was due for that one. I deserved it after last week's show, so I'll allow it. I'll give a solid laugh, a solid clap to that intro, man. But it is Scotty Drown, just so you guys know. Which I'm not clowning. I'm just drowning in sorrow. You see the cap I got on, so it is the D. It is the D. But I'm feeling good, man. It's a fine Friday. We're headed into the weekend. And what better way to cap off the week than with some NBA talk, my man? So I am happy to be here. How are you feeling today?
Feeling good, man. We got a big time win last night. Before we won last night, we was on like a 5-game losing streak, so it's always good to win because losing, man, it really sucks. So
Against a tough Houston Rockets team too, man.
yeah, team that has been rolling. Yeah,
Jalen Green, he really failed me last night. All I needed was like 15 points from him. He ended up with 14. I had him on a parlay.
wow.
With like Sengun. I did it like a live game parlay. I did the Rockets like plus 9.5, so stay within 10. Sengun, he had a horrible night, I'm guessing, because I laid him for 10 points, and it was like midway through the third quarter, so he ended up getting 10. Jalen Green missed by 1 point, but I'm happy your squad got the W though, brother. As much as I troll you, I don't want you to be unhappy or in the dumps. So it's better they get the W. But
Yeah,
Rockets team, man, that's something we're going to talk about today. How good are they, bro? That was a good W for the Warriors last night for sure, though.
yeah, because they've been rolling, man. They beat a lot of impressive teams. So yeah, and as far as like Jalen Green, you probably should hit me up on that because throughout Jalen Green's career, he has struggled playing against us. I think he's been
Interesting.
I just read this stat. He's averaging like 12 points on like 30, like shooting about 35% from the field his whole career playing against us. So
Who guards him?
struggles. We got Wiggins, Gary Payton.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
alone right there.
Yeah, got some guys that can match up with him. But yeah, like you said, on this episode today, everybody will be discussing the Houston Rockets as well as the Milwaukee Bucks. They starting to turn things around over there in Milwaukee, currently on a winning streak. As well as today, Chris Middleton will be making his return to the lineup, so that should be a nice sight to see for sure. As well as the Lakers, man, and LeBron. They've been kind of going backwards in a sense. They have not been winning games, and LeBron is father time truly catching up to him. And me and my guy Scotty will be discussing those things as well as a lot of more things, pretenders and contenders. So yeah, man. With that being said, like which route you want to go with this, man? You want to start off with the Bucks or?
Well, I did want to ask you one thing before we get into the Bucks. We can definitely start there though, but before we get into that, I've been seeing a lot of talk, man, and I'm a Duke fan. And I don't know if you saw the other night, Duke got a huge W at home against Auburn, the number 2 team in the country at the time. Duke's like number 9 right now, I think, after the loss to Kentucky and in Kansas. But there's been a lot of talk, man, about Cooper Flagg, and there's people out there saying, that he's overhyped and that he's not this, generational type of talent that everybody's hyping him up to be. And I think it's interesting. From my perspective, I'm obviously biased. I think that Cooper Flagg's going to turn into this great player because he's at Duke, and Duke players, that's what I believe in. That's why I love Duke. But what are your thoughts? I don't know if you've seen, maybe not the games, but if you've seen some of the highlight reels. I get it from one end of the stick, and this is why I think it's so interesting, and it leads into a bigger discussion. His highlights aren't flashy. It's not, deep 3-point makes. It's not, getting hot from the 3-point line and hitting 6 3-pointers in one game. It's not, it's not a dunk over a 7-foot center every night. It's not like electric athleticism. Don't get me wrong. He's a very athletic player, but it's not that electric, like LeBron, like athleticism.
Yeah.
I'm curious on your thoughts, though, from a non-biased standpoint. Like, what do you see when you see Cooper Flag? Because on the other end of the scope, I see a guy that can literally do everything. He doesn't have a deficiency in his game that you can point at. I think the one thing you can say is he needs to get better shooting from the three-point line, but he shoots all right. Like I feel confident when he pulls up from the three-point line. So I don't know, man. I might be biased.
I'll say this. I have been seeing a few tweets about him saying he's not a generation type of talent and he's overhyped. I have been seeing that a lot as of late. But my thoughts on that is that at the end of the day, I say Cooper Flag is an NBA player for sure. So I don't really get this thing of trying to like belittle him in the sense of like saying he's this and saying he's that. Like regardless, he's going to the league. Like he's that good. He's very talented. Like you just said, obviously he may not dunk the ball like a LeBron or shoot the three like a Steph or play make like a Jokic and rebound like a Jokic. Like he doing it in his style of play, in the way he like to do it, his fashion or whatnot. So I can see what you're coming from. Like he's a very good talent for sure. Like
let me ask you this. Is the word generational just tossed around way too much in this day and age? Is that the problem?
It is, man, because when we talk about generation, we look at a guy like Wemby. Now that's generational.
Right.
A guy that's 7'4" that can literally do it all. Now that's generational because you don't come across something like that too quick. Whereas I don't know, that where it does get thrown around like a lot of 6'3", 6'4" point guards coming to the league. You know, they dunk the ball at an elite level, shoot the ball. Is that really generational? Because we see that a lot. Like
it's common at this point. Yeah,
Derrick Rose, John Wall, John Morant, like Russell Westbrook. You know, is that really generational?
Well,
that's the whole.
That's what I wanted to ask you because like I saw. Oh man, what's the guy's name? Is it Rashad? Oh my God, he calls himself Yoda when it comes to basketball. Why can't I think of his name?
Yoda.
He calls him like the basketball Yoda, something like that.
Is this one like back in the day?
It's on Twitter. He's a guy on Twitter. He's a very popular like basketball personality. His name is slipping my mind right now, but he tweeted it out today, and he was talking about the word generational and how it's thrown around. Mm-hmm. And he mentioned that he thinks the last generational player as of right now is Kevin Durant. Let me get let me see if I can pull up the tweet. Generational.
Man, last generation.
And I want to double check here because I from what I remember, he did not put Steph Curry on that list, for example, and it leads me to this thought: like, isn't Steph Curry a generational talent?
No, Steph easily. Like nobody's doing how he's doing it at his size. Like to be that elite of a 3-point shooter. Like, come on now.
Yeah, that's what I think.
Like they compare guys to like Trae Young. Like with all due respect, Trae Young is one of the best passers I ever seen play in the league. But in terms of like a 3-point shooter, like he's struggled from there. Like he's not shooting at an efficient, level as a Steph Curry. Like, and that was the guy that they compared a lot to Steph, Trae Young.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Why can I not?
Steph is in the category of his own for sure. So, yeah, I would consider Steph to be generational, no doubt. Nobody speaking, by the way, neither, so.
I'll take your word for it, for sure. Let's see. Is it Rashad Phillips? Is that what it is? Yeah, that's exactly who it is. Rashad Phillips. Yeah, he always hashtags his tweets with Yoda. That's why I had that thought in my head. But I guess he's like presenting himself as like this all-knowing type of basketball head, kind of like what Yoda is. But this is his list of generational talents in our lifetime, quote unquote, our lifetime, right? Wilt Chamberlain, number 1. Number 2, Lou Alcindor. Number 3, Magic Johnson. Number 4, Isaiah Thomas. So Isaiah Thomas, a generational talent, but not Steph Curry. That's interesting to me. Kobe Bryant, Kevin Garnett, Tracy McGrady, LeBron James, and Kevin Durant. So 9. And he said maybe a few more, but no more than 15 total. So maybe Steph is in that few more. I wanted to ask you this as we lead into the Bucks conversation, which, by the way, thank you for tapping in free Papua TV. I don't know what that means, but he says the Bucks will be in the finals this year. Is Giannis a generational talent? Or no? Like I don't know. He puts up crazy numbers,
I,
but is his skill set generational?
I'm gonna say yeah, because the thing with Giannis is that he literally does the things that Shaq did back then, but he can
Right?
do it like at a faster rate. He can get the ball, push the pace, get to the rim with ease. Like he probably
Yeah.
take two dribbles, he at the rim,
Yeah.
and he
That's
don't
facts.
really. He's 6'11", like 270, something like that. So I would definitely say he's a generational talent. I don't know where I would see.
Shaq? Shaq's not a generational talent?
You say Shaq,
Yeah. Like he's not on this list either.
Shaq, Diesel. Yeah, I mean, I would consider Shaq to be a
Tough, right?
generational talent. I don't see why he isn't one.
Yeah. So
Diesel.
I guess that's where the conversation ultimately comes from. Like we're discussing Shaq, we're discussing Steph, Cooper Flag, right? Like you pointed out Wemby. I do agree. I think Wemby out of I'm trying to think through the last couple draft classes. Out of the last couple draft classes, he is the guy.
Yeah, like come on now. He's. I don't see how he's not on that list.
I
Literally,
guess you just got to see it like before you can deem it. I guess, but
I
I
would
don't
say
know,
yeah.
man. I've really loved the way Cooper Flag plays. I love the mentality he goes at the game with. And I think what gets lost, he's only 17 years old. He's not even 18, 19 like some of these other college kids. And the other thing, I think his game translates to the NBA even better than what it is at the college level. Like I've been seeing him hit like turnaround mid range shots, but nonetheless, it was just something interesting that came up on my timeline today from Rashad Phillips. And yeah, I think it's a conversation we'll see that continues over the next couple seasons, over the course of the NBA, because there's been players like Zion as well, right, coming out of Duke, and they've been deemed as generational, or even
Yeah,
Paolo,
true that.
right? Like these other like guys that are highly touted out of high school, and we'll see how it plays out, man. There's a ton of talent around this league, but I want to focus in, and well, I say I want to. This was your idea, Slim. Let me be honest, because you brought this to my attention.
Yeah.
The Milwaukee Bucks, man, they're on a hell of a streak right now. They're 11-10 on the season. They're the fifth seed in the Eastern Conference, right? Like the record doesn't look that great, but they started out really bad. They had a horrible losing streak to start this season, so they really just needed a big winning streak to get them out of the hole. They were able to do that. They're 8-2 in their last 10, I believe. Before the loss, either last night or the night before, they actually had won like 9 in a row or something like that.
Yeah,
Maybe it was
so
7 in a row, 9-1 in their last 10, actually.
yeah, I think
So,
they're kind of like on the 8-game winning streak right now. Yeah.
well, they recently just lost one. Like they
Oh, they,
lost their last game, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong.
okay, okay. Oh, they lost it. Okay, they lost to the Hawks. Okay, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that was literally the other night.
That was
Yeah, that was
Wednesday.
Wednesday. That was
Yeah, that was
Wednesday.
Wednesday.
So before we were supposed to do our show on Wednesday, everybody. That's probably why that thought was there.
Hmm.
But yeah, they did drop that game that night. But nonetheless, they are playing some good basketball, man. I was
Yeah.
just looking. I was wondering what are you seeing from the Bucks that you're liking?
Well, number one, I think me and you had this. We was discussing this probably like a month ago, just when the season was tipping off. I said that they got to kind of lean it into more of their youth. Guys like Andre Jackson Jr., AJ Green, and since they've done that, you can just tell the difference.
Yeah,
Guys are playing much more confidence. Even guys like Marshawn Beauchamp. You know, I think that that's kind of the wave nowadays. Is that when you got like a lot of vets on your team, you have to lean to those young guys, man. Especially like over the course of an 82-game season.
yeah.
You
Early
know,
on
just
in the season too.
yeah,
Yeah,
you got to build these guys' confidence as well as even if you have like intention like trading them, just build their value while you can. So yeah, for the Bucks, man, I think that was a thing. Outside of Giannis putting up crazy numbers, like
yeah,
somebody brought some to my attention. They said that is it possible for a guy to be he just turned 30 today? Is it possible for a guy to turn 30 and still get better? Because this year he has been shooting the mid range at an elite level. I think he's shooting like 60% on twos. And for a guy like Giannis with his caliber, that's pretty darn good. So
yeah.
yeah, as well as Damian Lillard, I think he's starting to figure out as well how to play, in the Doc Rivers system as well as playing alongside Giannis. And like I said, man, a guy like Chris Middleton making his return tonight, so that should be good. And by the way, they're playing the Boston Celtics, so what's a better test than to play those guys? So
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting game tonight. Obviously, the Bucks on in the midst of a hot streak, despite the recent loss. But with the recent loss, it's even more reason to bounce back and try to get a big W tonight. To add on to everything that you were saying, you mentioned Giannis. Obviously, he's playing at an MVP level, close to 33 points per game, close to 12 rebounds per game, almost 7 assists per game, a block, a steal a game. So he's doing everything. I talked about Cooper Flagg doing everything for Duke. He's doing everything for the Milwaukee Bucks. He's covering all the statistics. Along with that, man, kind of to your point about getting into the youth with the team, I think what goes along with that is just the ability to space the floor around Giannis as well. You mentioned AJ Green. He's shooting 50% from the three-point line on 5 attempts per game. That's extremely efficient. Even Gary Trent Jr., you mentioned the show maybe a month ago when the season started. He was shooting fucking horribly. Excuse my language. He was shooting horribly.
yeah, he was.
And I, it's something I paid attention to because I thought he was a very good pickup for them in the offseason. He's a guy that I wanted on the Sixers.
Yeah.
So he's shooting 39% from the three-point line now on close to 5 attempts as well. So he's got his numbers up. For him to get to 39%, that means he's been very hot over the last month because I'm telling you, his three-point percentage was in the 20s.
It was not. It
might have been in the teens.
It was in the 20s.
Might have been in the teens. You might be right.
Yeah.
So along with Trent Jr., AJ Green, one of the young guys that you mentioned, you got a guy like Taurean Prince. He's getting close to 3 to 4 attempts from 3 per game. He's shooting 57% from the three-point line. Dame, close to 10 attempts per game. He's shooting 37%. That's close to league average, right? But at that clip, that's pretty damn good. Yeah, that's 3 to 4 three-pointers made per night. So, yeah, I think when you have that level of shooting around Giannis, I think that's the formula. I think that's what works. And you mentioned the efficiency with Giannis. That's an entire game changer within itself. They get Chris Middleton back tonight, like you mentioned. What does he add? You don't have to ask for too much from him from the jump. You know what I mean? Yeah. Let him settle in, let him get acquainted, and then hopefully he can get back to maybe not, all-star or like the second fiddle level, but maybe get back to a solid role player or maybe even a little bit above that, right? Like an advanced role player, give you 18 to 20 a night. That's really all they're going to need from a guy like Chris Middleton, who I think can give you more on some nights. So they are a very interesting team. Ken Doc Rivers, man, I think out of everything, he's the guy in this situation I trust the least to keep this thing rolling. What will he do to mess this thing up? I'm interested to see it. But it is interesting to think about. Could the Bucks in the East is miserable right now. So it isn't impossible. Like, even with the Celtics over there in the East, like the Knicks, they're getting better. They're looking better, but they didn't start the hottest. The Magic are starting out hot right now. What do they look like when they get Paolo back? But there's not a ton of competition in the Eastern Conference right now, especially with the way the Sixers look. It's wide open for the Bucks outside of Boston, which they get to play tonight. Darius says he's got the Bucks and he's got Wash LeBron-led Lakers tonight on the money lines, man.
I feel you on that, washed.
That was not my idea, Darius. I'm using Slim's term here.
Father time is undefeated. It is what it is, bro.
It's gonna catch you. The bro is 40 years old, man, and whether it's him reserving energy on a night-to-night basis where he's like moving in slow motion, something's up, right? I know Darius, he's got the Lakers money line tonight. He was texting me earlier. Thinks this is a bounce back opportunity for the Lakers. So I'm interested in your thoughts there. Like, one, do the Lakers beat the Hawks tonight? And then two, what are your thoughts around this team? Where can this Lakers team get to with the way LeBron is playing?
Okay, well, first and foremost, let's talk about the Lakers, right?
Yeah.
Okay, it's really not fair to the coaches. Like I'm reading tweets of what Lakers fans are saying. Some of them want JJ Redick fired already, and I'm like, okay, how can you switch over that? Like literally a month ago, y'all was giving this man the ultimate praise, saying, "Man, it was the
Yeah,
best decision that Rob Pelinka ever made." You know, things like
coach
that.
of the year.
But now that the tables has turned, now y'all want to get rid of him. But first and foremost, I'm like this: there's only so much that the coach can do. This roster is trash, bro. Like y'all are literally running it back from last year, and you got to ask yourself how much better have you guys gotten? And from what I've looked at, it has not been that much. Like Vanderbilt has been injured for like 2 years. Christian Wood has yet to play a game this season. LeBron is 40. Anthony Davis has kind of slowed down as of late. D'Angelo Russell is D'Angelo Russell. You know, it's just not enough to compete, man. You know, and you got to also consider, like I just said, LeBron is 40. Like you can't expect this man to still be like your second option on the team.
Yeah,
At best, he should easily be like your third option because based off what it seems, he seems to be like the point guard for the starting lineup, and you know that definitely can play a toll on your body, especially with him, you know, reaching 40 years old. So, yeah, for me, man, when I look at a team like the Lakers, they just don't have enough. Like they definitely have to make some moves, but it's kind of hard to make moves if don't nobody else want to like trade with you. So,
yeah,
yeah. That's kind
yeah,
of my perspective on the Lakers. Now, as far as them being able to
yeah.
win tonight, I don't think that they win. I think the Hawks get the job done. They've been kind of getting some impressive wins as of late, so I think that they'll get it done for sure.
It is in Atlanta as well, so that is something to keep an eye out. So, what about the Bucks? You think the Bucks are winning, or is Darius' slip cooked?
Oh man, I think the Celtics get it done. I don't think the
Yeah,
Bucks. Yeah, Chris Middleton first game, and the Celtics been kind of rolling. They got
so that slip
Porzingis
is
back,
cooked.
so yeah.
But no, I
Yeah.
think it's interesting, and we talked about this maybe 2 weeks ago with AD and thinking about. I don't know if we go on this far.
Yeah. I mean, hey, it's the guys around him that has to step up. This is
I
all. Like,
saw the clip of LeBron like on the defensive end the other night though, and it was bad. Like it was gross.
I seen a clip when they played the T Wolves.
Yeah, that's what it was. That's what
He
it was
he
because
he
they.
airball. He just look old, man. He really do.
Yeah, and the thing is, right? I want to start with two things you said. So you mentioned AD. Think that's the first thing I want to mention because maybe 2 weeks ago we were saying AD's playing at an MVP caliber level, maybe in the top five, for MVP candidates to start the season. And, it was something that maybe we just glossed over. I don't know. Maybe you mentioned it and it slipped past me. But like, why would we think that AD can maintain that pace or that level over the course of an 82 game season? You know what I mean? To think that the Lakers would be like in the top of the West and contending at this level, it would require AD to play at an MVP and even beyond an MVP level. Let's be honest. Like 30, we're talking about like 30 plus a night, 12 plus rebounds a night, 3 blocks a night. Like this is what it takes from AD for this team to be like contending at a high level against the better competition in the NBA. And then, so if you can't have that from AD over an 82 game season,
Mm-hmm.
then what do you need from LeBron over an 82 game season? And to your point, you said that LeBron can't be your second star, and I think like on a night to night basis, like on any given night, sure, I think LeBron can give you 30 plus on hot shooting, right? Maybe hit 3 or 4 3 pointers, maybe get a couple assists mixed in there and give you, 7 or 8 rebounds. But he's not going to be able to do that on a night to night basis. And
Not
that's
at
the
this stage.
issue. That's
Right.
the issue, man.
Not at this stage of his career anyway. And man, you hit on the head, bro. That's such a great point. Because how you broke it down in terms of like AD having to do this over the course of an 82 game
Yeah,
season. Look at a guy like Giannis. The Bucks were struggling before Giannis went on this crazy run where he literally
yeah,
averaged like 34 plus points for like 2 consecutive weeks or something like that.
yeah,
On crazy shooting, like efficient shooting all across the charts. Well, probably not free throw, but or even 3 point line, but you get it from the field. He, like you said, for the Lakers to even stay in the mix of things, at the end of the day, we probably had to average like 35
Yeah,
at bare minimum
yeah,
for them just to be in the thick of things. And LeBron will have to step it up. But like you said, at this stage of his career, man, I don't know if that's sustainable, you know.
yeah.
And it
And
shouldn't have to be sustainable, you know.
it shouldn't. Yeah, to your point, LeBron at age 40 just shouldn't have to give you 25 plus a night. You shouldn't be asking for that. Um, I think to your point about AD versus like a guy like Giannis, that is a great point to make. Just to be clear, I'm not the biggest Giannis guy in the world. Like I don't like him, if I'm being completely honest. But I can sit here as a basketball fan and want to be a basketball knower, right? Giannis is very good at basketball. And the thing about Giannis is his consistency. I trust
Mm,
him way more to do this over the course of a season than I trust a guy like AD. It's
that's
not to
fair.
say AD
That's
isn't
fair.
skilled enough. He's
That's
just
fair.
not healthy enough.
Yeah, that's
Giannis
fair.
doesn't come with those injury concerns, in my opinion. So,
Hmm.
yeah, if you ask me, like who would be able to sustain, we've seen it already. Giannis is the one that is sustaining it, but that's for a good reason.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean, even like a guy like Giannis, like they had to tell this man he couldn't play in the All Star game. He was injured. He
yeah,
was about to play in the All Star
yeah,
game, so that could kind of tell you the type of guy he is. You know, he's
yeah,
willing to play for
exactly.
whatever. But
And that's probably why I don't like him as a Sixers fan because he does play so hard. He wants to play, wants to win. So when you're an opposing fan, that is a little annoying when
yeah,
you're
it
as good
is.
as he is.
Yeah,
But
he one of the type of dudes, man.
the
He is.
Lakers, man, yeah. To your point, like who do you trade? Like D'Angelo Russell,
Well, the
Rui?
real question is, you know, what are these guys' value? Because you
Right,
know,
right,
Rui Hachimura, he hasn't been as good. You know,
right.
I'm sure they want to keep Austin Reeves. I don't
And
think they.
nobody, to your point earlier that you made, nobody wants to help the Lakers get better.
Hell no, nobody wants to help the Warriors.
Like,
You know, I'm speaking from experience. You know, so
yeah,
that's that. And I'm from based on what I've seen from Laker fans. You know, it's well to be honest, from a player standpoint too. I don't think a lot of guys wants to go to LA because they know what comes with that. As soon
yeah,
as you have one bad game, they're threatening you and your family. You know,
yeah,
it's a lot, and the lights are bright. You know, playing alongside somebody like LeBron James. You know, it's a lot of lights down there.
yeah. That is very fair. Um, Before we touch on the Houston Rockets, my man, I wanted to ask you something. And the reason this came to mind with the Orlando Magic, they came to my mind tonight. Obviously, the Sixers are playing them tonight. It's the second time this week. Lost to them on Wednesday. Franz Wagner goes berserk. Um, the Magic. What are they, man? Like, are they like a real contender when Paulo gets back? Like, what are you seeing with Orlando, just off the top of your head? Because I know we didn't prepare to talk about Orlando specifically, but what are your thoughts there? Because they are really impressive to me, man. Just watching, playing against them, obviously seeing the way Franz plays, but overall they have some major depth, and they're gonna get an all-star back as well.
I think they legit, man. Like you just said, they're going to get Paulo back. I mean, you talk about this stretch that these guys has had over the past couple of weeks with Franz Wagner leading the way. You just got to be impressed by that from a fan of the from a fan of basketball. Like Franz Wagner, Jalen Suggs, Kentavious Caldwell Pope, Jonathan Isaac,
Yeah,
Mo Wagner. I can't never pronounce his man's name. Is it Goga?
Goga.
Uh,
Yeah, just stick with that.
yeah,
I think it's Batazde or something
yeah,
like that. The last
something
name.
like that. But those guys have been playing pretty good basketball as of late. I
Yeah,
just when I look at a team like the Magic, you just start to wonder, like when they get in the postseason, where they come back to the same problems that they just had last season, and
shooting.
they're shooting because
Yeah,
don't get me wrong, Caldwell Pope has kind of been better as of late, but overall throughout the season, he has not shot the ball as the level that I know he can get to, like close to 40%.
yeah,
He's not even like midway to the 30, I don't think so.
right.
Yeah, and even Suggs too. Like he hasn't just shot the ball, you know, particularly great from 3 point range. And you just start to wonder, like around Paulo and Franz Wagner, would those guys be able to step it up to knock down shots? So
That's fair.
that's to me the biggest question with the match. Other than that, like defensively, this team is top five. They
Yeah.
elite. They got a lot of guys that can switch. So yeah, this team is pretty legit. I say for sure.
No, that's fair. That's fair. Because as good as Franz has looked while Paulo's been out, they do have some overlapping qualities. I think, you see Franz playing at this level.
Mm-hmm.
One big question I do have is, can he maintain this level or close to when Paulo returns? Which I don't know. We'll see. Paulo's a guy that likes to have the ball in his hands. He likes to play
Yeah.
make. He likes to get his shots up. So it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. It's not to say they can't play together. They've done it. What, the last 2 years? I guess Paulo's been in the league. Has it been 2 or 3?
The last 2 going on 3. Yeah, for sure.
Going on 3. So they've done it. But Franz at this level. Franz is at an elite level right now.
Yeah, he's having an all-star type of. No doubt he should be an all-star. I don't think that that's even a question at this point, for sure.
I agree, man.
So yeah, man. Switching over.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the San Antonio Spurs, man.
Yeah.
I'm going to be honest. The Western Conference is wide open right now. It is. The San Antonio Spurs are currently in the 11th seed. They're at 500. They're 11-11. And they had some pretty impressive wins over the past couple of weeks, man. They beat us. Wemby has had those types of games. They kind of shut the haters up. Because I think me and you had this conversation before, like, it was some type of NBA insider. So the question was, Wemby impactful? Obviously, we know he's impactful defensively, but can he be impactful offensively as well? And I think that he's kind of answered that question because he's currently averaging 23.5 points, 10.4 rebounds, 3.4 blocks, and I think he's 1.3 steals, like almost 4 assists while shooting 47% from the field. And this is the most thing that impresses me the most is that he's shooting like 86% from the free throw line. Like for a guy to be that tall and to play the center position and to shoot that efficient from the foul line is pretty impressive, and that is honestly a skill. And he's shooting just about 34% from 3-point range on like 9 attempts, so that's pretty good as well. So Wemby has definitely stepped it up. I got to give a shout out to the vets like Chris Paul and Harrison Barnes. Those guys clearly impact has definitely been shown. You see guys like Stefan Castle and Vassell, like all those guys have been playing pretty good alongside those guys. So yeah, but the question I'm trying to ask you, man, what are the Spurs ceiling this season? Like, can they make it to the postseason, or could they potentially make it to the second round? What are your thoughts on those guys over there?
They're an interesting team, and I think they're in a very good spot where there's no pressure. Like, they don't need to make the playoffs. They have low expectations, but I think they have expectations that they could easily exceed, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
You look at them right now; they're 11-11. But to your point, I mean, the Warriors. The Warriors are the 5th seed right now. They're 13-8, so they have 2 more wins than the San Antonio Spurs, for example. So all they have to do win 3 games in a row, and maybe they're in the playoff picture already. Like you said, the West is wide open. The only thing, man, you just have to ask yourself, like, as the season weighs on, is there enough talent on this team? I do wonder that. Can Devin Vassell play at a higher level as the season goes on? I know he just got back from injury just a couple games ago. He's only played 8 games this season. Can Stefan Castle, to your point, continue to get better as a rookie? I've seen that he's gotten up to, I believe, 2nd on the rookie ladder right now behind Jared McCain, at least on NBA.com.
Yeah.
So can he continue to get better? Then you just have to start finding other guys that can step up into the picture and give you something consistently. You have the guys like Harrison Barnes. You mentioned CP3. Malachi Branham, he's a guy that has popped off in the past, has shown he can do something. Yeah, Keldon Johnson, he's a guy that's been consistent, but he can do more than what he's doing right now.
I agree. He really can. But I think he's just limited now because he's come off the bench now. So
yeah, Julian Champagny. They got a couple guys that kind of overlap skill sets in a sense. Champagny, Keldon Johnson, Socan, right? That like forward that can do a little bit of everything. But yeah, to answer your question, I think like a great season for them would be making the playoffs. Like even if it's as an 8th seed getting out of the play-in tournament. Yeah. Just getting Wemby some playoff experience will make the world of a difference for him. And who knows? Maybe once you get him in the postseason, maybe he's that guy. And maybe he can average 30 plus in a postseason series, and maybe you can get a playoff victory there. But let's just get to the playoffs and go from there. And I do think that they have a team that can compete. I look at the West. Like if they were in the East, easily they're making the playoffs. In the West, are they better than the Minnesota T-Wolves? I don't think so. Better than the Lakers?
Easily, yeah. You tried to send me up the other way. That's easily my opinion. You know?
So, who's ahead of the Spurs right now? Right,
See,
Minnesota.
Minnesota. Like
LA.
I'm thinking of the teams above them right now, and it's like, man, if they can just keep up like a good stretch of basketball, man, who knows? Like.
So let me ask you this: out of the teams ahead of them, who could you see them going ahead of? The Clippers. They're playing. The Clippers are playing some good ball right now too. Honestly, man.
I won't put them over the Clippers now.
James Harden is playing. Like, obviously not a Harden fan, but he's playing at some elite basketball right now.
Like those guys have been balling.
Can they get Kawhi back at any point this season? I don't know about that.
That's a plus, man. Seriously. It really is. Like maybe Tyler should get some coaches of the year consideration.
Memphis, yeah, I do agree with that.
No, I got Memphis over the Spurs.
Dallas, Houston.
Yeah, all those guys at the top, I got them over San Antonio.
Phoenix, I mean, if they keep getting injuries, if they keep picking up these random injuries and guys keep going down, maybe they could drop.
Yeah.
Just get into the play-in, man. That's what I would say. Get into the play-in. Give yourself a chance at the postseason.
That's what I was going to. That's really, like, if they can just get in the play-in, like, that's to me a huge success for the season. Like, you get a veteran, veterans like CP and Harrison Barnes. All those guys, both of those guys have, like, a lot of experience in the playoffs. So, I'm sure they probably can get the job done. Just depends on who they're matching up against, so.
No, I completely agree, man. The Spurs are a team to keep an eye on the rest of this season. See what Wemby can do. Young guys like Stephon Castle. We'll see what they got. But the last thing on the show tonight, man, I think we can kind of finish it. I know that it's technically 2 segments, but we can kind of group it into one here. We got the Houston Rockets right now that are playing, once again, there's a couple teams out west that are playing some good basketball, to be clear here. But they are the number 2 seed right now at 15-8, coming off a loss to your Warriors. The reason I bring them up right now for this conversation, and I think there's a couple teams today that we talked about that can go into this group of teams that I feel like are maybe just one significant piece away from really competing at a high level going into the postseason this year. I'll throw these teams to you. I do want your thoughts on Houston, of course. I got Houston written down as one significant piece away. And let me give you an example, and this is a rumor that I've seen around Jimmy Butler. That makes a ton of sense to me, just from a fit perspective, from a leadership experience perspective. It's exactly what the Houston Rockets need. They need somebody who's been there. The Rockets, the Orlando Magic, who we just talked about, can they somehow trade maybe just a little bit of their depth or a little bit of their youth for a significant role player to add to this group? The LA Clippers, man. I don't know what they could move out to bring something in, but they're a team that is now in the playoff picture, and why not try to improve? Your Golden State Warriors, they were mentioned today that they are out on the hunt for another star to put next to Steph. You have a team in Golden State that definitely has pieces that other teams will want in exchange for a better player. The last 2 that I'll mention here, Milwaukee, I think they are maybe just one player away. If they could bring in another significant player. This one's interesting. I want your thoughts on this. Maybe before the Rockets, let's stop here because I do think this is the most interesting one. The Cleveland Cavaliers. They obviously have a great record. They're leading the way right now out in the East. Could you bring in one more significant piece by giving up maybe 1 or 2 role players? Should they do that? I'm not saying that they 100% should.
Oh, of course you want.
That's why it's questionable.
No, of
That's
course you would want them to
questionable.
do it. No, you would want them to do it so they can start messing up. So that way your Sixers can get back to the top. You
Messed
know what
up
you're
that
doing, man.
chemistry.
Yeah. This guy here. Scotty, man. Scotty Clown over here. But hey man,
I got a master plan for everything. Sixers, baby. I got
I
you.
don't to be honest, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So if I'm the Cavaliers, unless it's just an offer that you cannot completely turn down, I would not look to make any moves. They're 20-3, the number one seed in the Eastern Conference. So, like I said, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I wouldn't
Let
mess
me
with
ask you this. Let me ask you this. If you could like package like like a Karis LeVert, maybe an Isaac Okoro. I'm looking at like a Cam Johnson from Brooklyn. How could they make that work?
Wow.
Does
Okay.
that not sound like a great fit? He's like an elevated version of Max Strus, in my opinion, at least.
Because now that you brought his name, you can also include him in a package as well. Maybe you don't have to give up Isaac Okoro. He's
Yeah,
more
keep
defense you can
Okoro.
keep. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, keep Okoro. Because now that I look at it from that perspective, you do have a point in the sense of like when it gets to the playoff, your rotation starts to trim down. So,
right.
typically it's like 8 guys off the top of your head that's going to play. Maybe you make a move for a guy like Cam Johnson, that puts you, that solidifies your rotation. But then again, you can never go wrong with too much depth because you never know
Yeah,
what each playoff series, holds. Maybe you may need this guy for this.
injuries
Yeah,
too.
injuries, depth. So yeah.
No, it's just something interesting. I
So
thought I'm not trying to
um,
disrespect the Cavs or by any means. They're playing good basketball. Just a
what you
thought.
what you think about like I had a few teams in mind too. We
Yeah,
didn't
who you
list you
got?
didn't you didn't list any of them, but what about Denver?
That's a good that's a good one. Honestly, yeah, the way Jokic is playing right now, you got even Christian Braun. I looked at his numbers the other day. He's playing some good basketball. But who would you move from Denver? Would it be a Christian Brown, or would it be like a Michael Porter
Yeah,
Jr.?
I think it would be more so MPJ than anybody, man.
Yeah, he's got the money to make
Yeah,
something work.
he got a big contract over there, so
Yeah,
yeah, I
Jamal
would say
Murray. What's he look like this season, man?
he's actually like close to 18, I think. It's not necessarily just he fishing, but
He's a playoff guy.
yeah, he is.
He's a
And
playoff.
also another team, I say Miami. Like those guys, I mean they're 10-10 right now, but they still got Jimmy Bam. And I have to give Tyler Hero a lot of credit. Like
Yeah,
since day one, he has been consistent. Like he's literally like averaging like 25. Yeah, I give him his credit. He's been balling, and he's been doing it at a consistent rate. So
who do they trade? Like do you trade like a Jaime Jaquez in packaged with something like a Terry Rozier? Maybe I don't know. It's interesting. Like because I say that the Rockets should go after Jimmy Butler, but if the Heat are buying, right, which to your point, like they probably won't sell Jimmy Butler, but
yeah,
if they have no plans of bringing Jimmy Butler back after this season, right? Like if they don't have the plans of maxing him out and whatnot, maybe you can get one of those pieces, one or two, not even one. You're going to get two or three of those pieces from Houston, which
oh yeah.
like I'm thinking like a package including like Atari Eason.
I don't know if I do that from Houston.
Do you even do that if you're Houston?
Yeah,
I know.
I would see initially like if this trade do happen, I gotta give you a props because I didn't even think of Jimmy Butler to the Rockets till you text me the other day about it, and I started to think about it. I said, man, that's really that would be a good fit for
Sounds
Jimmy. I would
perfect for Houston. It's just are the Heat working with that? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I would probably be a package centered around Dylan Brooks, draft capital,
That's good. Yeah.
maybe Cam Whitmore because he's not getting a lot of minutes.
Yeah.
So yeah, those two guys and some draft capital probably get it done. But yeah, man, like for us, for my Warriors though, man, like if we don't go out there and get like a big time guy, I'm fine with it. Maybe we can just get a guy like Nikola Vucevic and like Ayo Dosunmu, like a combo guard and a stretch big. I'd be just fine with that, honestly.
Yeah. No, I was actually going to ask you about somebody else on their team, Zach LaVine, but I mean, Ayu Dosomo and Vucevic, I mean, they're two solid players that would definitely be in your rotation. But Zach LaVine was somebody who came to mind, man, because it's something I don't know if I texted you about it or if I texted my other co-host from our Philly show, Dylan.
Yeah.
There's going to be conversations around Zach LaVine versus like Paul George this offseason. And I know you have to trade for Zach LaVine versus signing Paul George off the street, but the numbers right now, Zach LaVine is balling right now. He's playing some good basketball right now. He's playing winning basketball right now with the Bulls. And Paul George obviously just hasn't been able to stay on the court. So it's just a thought that came over my mind, like how good. It's more to just point at Zach LaVine playing at a good level, rather than to like diss Paul George by any means. But 21 points per game, close to 5 rebounds, 4 assists. It's the shooting numbers for me, though. 50% from the field, 43% from the three-point line, 82% from the free throw line. If not somebody from the Bulls, who else would you have your eyes on? Would somebody like Cam Johnson interest you, or is that kind of overlapping a little bit?
Yeah, for sure. I'd definitely like to get somebody like Cam Johnson, but I'm kind of looking at it like the way our team is structured. We really need a stretch big, man. Come playoffs, man. We're really going to need that. That's why I said a guy like Vucevic, he's giving you like 22 points. He's shooting 46% from 3-point range on like 5 attempts.
Yeah,
like he's having like a good season. He's damn near shooting 60% from the field. Like I don't see like that's literally the perfect fit for us. Like a guy like Vucevic. But yeah, even like a Cam Johnson, I wouldn't be mad if we were to get him in like a Dorian Finney-Smith or I wouldn't be mad at that at all.
And the interesting thing, man, when you look across the way, right, there's teams where, like, how long before they blow it up? And I'm thinking about the New Orleans Pelicans right now, right? Like, guys like Brandon Ingram, does he get shipped out this season? CJ McCollum's of the world. Where do guys like this end up this season? Do they end up getting moved? Like, I just don't see Brandon Ingram finishing this season on New Orleans.
To me, it don't make sense, man. Like, guys are going to want him. I seen a rumor that the Lakers want him, but he's definitely going to get moved. He's very talented, and you can use a guy like that come postseason for sure.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. It is interesting. What about the Magic?
More shooting.
Yeah.
Sure. More shooting.
Can they do something for like a Cam Johnson? Cam Johnson's on my mind. He's playing good basketball. He's on a bad team.
If I think that I don't know if it was Chicago or Brooklyn, but I seen a report that everybody's available. It's between those two teams. Like all their players.
I think it was Brooklyn. To your point.
Yeah.
Which
depending on the right offer.
Ain't the only one on Brooklyn either. Dennis Schroeder is playing good basketball.
Dennis Schroeder has been playing very good this season. Like, and even your boy Ben Simmons. I think this past week he's had like a pretty good game. So they got a lot of guys out there that you can potentially trade for. So
yeah, he had 7 points, 7 rebounds, 9 assists the other night.
Yeah, 2 steals, 2 blocks.
That's solid.
Yeah, that's a Ben Simmons type of game. So
Nick Claxton, yeah, they've got some decent guys there. Dorian Finney-Smith, DFS. Cam Thomas. What is Cam Thomas, man? Is he gonna be like something, or is he just a jack? Like I'm stuck kind of somewhere in the middle. Like, does he just have complete freedom in Brooklyn? Like, would he be able to contribute to like winning basketball? I don't know. But he is.
I think so.
Solid.
I was just watching an interview. He was on the Draymond Green show, and man, he's definitely like just of what I've seen. He's definitely going to be on the right path for sure. It just takes time. He's learning though, so he is growing as a player. So
need to get him around some winning culture. That's ultimately what it comes down to. It seems like Brooklyn's a little toxic, even ever since the James Harden, Kevin Durant, Kyrie stuff. Brooklyn is just a little tainted there. So we'll see how it plays out, man. But do you got anything else before we get out of here, my man?
That is pretty much it, bro. Like, we pretty much hit on everything. We'll try to do this again for sure. No later than Monday, for sure.
Yeah, we'll be back Monday for sure. We'll
come up with something.
That's the plan going forward. Just so everybody knows, we'll be going consistently on Mondays, going forward. Now that I got my schedule ironed out, it's pretty it's pretty consistent in place now. We should be able to get a consistent show in.
Yeah, because I know, like the Sixers probably been stressing you out, so it's all good, bro. We go through rough
I will say,
patches.
man, the Sixers make NBA like almost miserable. Like I love basketball, man, but the Sixers make it really hard. They play the Magic again tonight. I don't think Embiid is in. Just
It's been a
checking
roller
here.
coaster type of season for you guys.
Yeah, Embiid is out. Paul George is in, so we'll get the McCain, Maxey, and PG show tonight, hopefully. But need a W. Need to stack a couple W's in a row, quite honestly. Get back on the right track. But yeah, we'll be back Monday, everybody. To everybody watching right now, be sure to hit the subscribe button on the YouTube channel. Be sure to follow us on X. You can find each of us. Slim at RTR30111, myself at Scotty Drown. You can find the pod at To The Galaxy Pod on X, man. That's the biggest thing here as we end the show, brother. All right, man. That is going to be it for this episode of NBA To The Galaxy Pod. Thank you for everybody tuning in with us on this fine Friday. We will be back Monday around the same time. Peace.